This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, the fastest, easiest, most professional, user-friendly way to make your very own website, portfolio, blog, or online store. If you go to squarespace.com and use the offer code THUMBS at checkout, you will get 10% off your first purchase. Start your free trial with no credit card. That is squarespace.com with the offer code THUMBS.
I was going to ask you to say it one more time, but everyone does it. They know.
Squarespace.com with the offer code THUMBS.
I'll just loop that for an hour.
Let me just start the camera
Loop it
rotator,
over itself.
Yeah, just
The offer space thumbs.
I'm just going to, since we're live online,
Oh man, are we live online right now?
I couldn't say.
Oh, that's disconcerting.
I mean, I see us, but I don't know if we sound good or anything.
Do we sound good or anything?
No one knows. There's not even anyone watching the stream. You think people watch us on the internet these days?
no.
Maybe one guy would.
Maybe one guy would. Good Psychonauts cutscene reference.
Thanks, Jake. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's August 3rd, 2017.
Oh my god.
And this is Idle Thumbs 300 something.
10.
310. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey!
Video game time.
Oh, that's what time it is.
Time to discuss video games.
Games
Okay.
o'clock.
It is game
Half
time.
past.
Game. Half past gam.
Jesus.
God, okay, hold on. We didn't talk about what we're going to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah, we
did.
Oh, what? Oh my
You were
God.
fiddling with cameras and stuff. Oh my god.
God.
Okay, we can start it over.
We're going to start this podcast over.
I have played mainly one game, and I've played many hours of it at this point.
Nice.
It is actually a game that is not yet released, but I think by the time this podcast comes out, it will be very close to release. It is West of Loathing by Asymmetric, which is the studio that has, for the last more than a decade, I think well over a decade at this point,
Yeah.
has been developing the online game Kingdom of Loathing, which is a sort of text and stick figure based RPG, I guess you'd call it.
It seems like it's close to a mud,
Yeah, it's kind
actually.
of like a mud. It's kind of like that.
Remember muds?
Yeah. I never got deeply into Kingdom of Loathing, but I know that I've played it a little bit, but I know that there are people for whom that is like a foundational internet experience.
Yeah.
It has a really specific sense of humor and just overall sensibility that really like shines through from the people who make it, and just kind of infects every part of the game in a way that I can appreciate, even though I never really got into it. And so the cool thing about West of Loathing is that it's just a straightforward single player kind of simple RPG that takes place in sort of a Western, like classic spaghetti
West,
Western version of the kind of like fantasy, like wacky fantasy world that Kingdom of Loathing takes place in. And it's just a game with a single player story that has a start and an end. It's not like a infinite online thing.
It also
Kingdom
has
of Loathing.
graphics in a way that Kingdom
Yes.
of Loathing does not, although they're still stick figure drawn with an ink pen.
Yes.
The whole game is black and white line art.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. The two of the guys who make Kingdom of Loathing and West of Loathing work in our office, and I sit right next to Zach Johnson, who does all of the art for both games, which consists of him just drawing stick figures on paper and then scanning them in with just an old scanner. And it's only just occurred to me now that I've spent, I think, maybe a couple dozen hours playing West of Loathing, and all of the graphics I've been interacting with were drawn like 3 feet away from me with just a pen on blank white printer paper and scanned into a computer in the most just like totally pure, hilarious, old school way imaginable. I can confirm with my own eyes that art is made in the most like straightforward possible manner. Anyway, the game, which Jake, I know you've played as well. I don't know if you completed it. I haven't either, mainly because I've spent so much time going down every side quest and just doing every little possible thing. I'm sort of doing that classic thing where I'm like, I got to exhaust everything I can do before ending the game because I want to like consume all the content.
That's got to be intense because for as much as this game is like plays off like it's a sort of stick figure jokey version of an RPG, the amount of content in this game is off the charts.
It's huge, yeah.
Also, it's probably impossible for you to see everything based on at least like the first 2 hours of the game that I played, where depending on like I felt like the first hour of this game was just a festival of mutually exclusive content. Like which class do you choose limits very early decisions, which also limit which NPC comes along with you, and all that stuff's very simple. But like I picked up a book in one of the first towns and learned how to speak Goblin, and because of that, when I encountered a Goblin camp, I could talk to them.
Nice.
But I re-rolled and played through that a different time and didn't pick up that book, and they were just like grumbly enemies that I couldn't interact with, and my only opportunity was to fight them. So like in the thing that sort of seemed like it was turning into a quest hub for me was instead just an enemy camp full of fight scenarios in a different playthrough. That's a lot to bite off as far as the content in a video game, but it also probably means that while you've seen a lot of it, there's someone else out there who
saw different stuff. Yeah, that's very true. So again, the game is called West of Loathing. I have to remember to say the name of the game a lot because people it's
because no one knows what games are.
No one knows what we're talking about probably. So the game is called West of Loathing, and yeah, there's sort of two distinct phases of the game. There's the prologue, which is the part you're talking about, and then that ends, and it's like once you leave that starting area, it's locked off and you can't go back to it. And just classic that kind of RPG style. But then the entire rest of the game, except for maybe the ending, I don't know because I haven't completed it yet. But the vast bulk of the game, you can just keep roaming around in forever, even as you unlock more and more of the overworld. And so it feels like in the main chunk of the game, there's less of that mutually exclusive stuff because you can just keep roaming around and finding new skills and leveling up your skills and doing all that stuff. But yeah, in the prologue, there's simply a limited finite amount of stuff.
I guess it probably I've probably played maybe 4 or 5 hours of the game total, which is like I guess a quarter or a fifth of what you've played. And I imagine you're probably right that I've been out of the prologue for hours now, but I can still feel the reverberations of the stuff that I did at the beginning of the game. That will probably wear off a little bit as I get access to the entire world and just build up my dude.
Yeah.
As I build up my dude.
Build that dude up. Yeah. So I guess I should say what this game basically is. It is essentially like a fairly sort of simple version of a classic overworld-based
turn-based
RPG. Yeah, you move around on a big map. You go to different sort of towns and like features and camps and stuff on that map, and then while doing so, you will encounter random enemies that you fight with a totally classic like JRPG style take turns to hit the enemies.
With some grid-based stuff in there a little bit, but it's not like super tactical or anything. There's just
you can't move around on the grid. It's just arranged in grids like those RPGs are.
Yep.
And then the to me the real selling point of the game is the writing, which is just really funny, like just a very specific sort of absurdist sense of humor. It's like absurdism with puns. And it is just so fully extended into every single just crevice and crack and like pixel of this game that it feels so lovingly made and complete. It's really impressive. All the way to the menus. Like this game just never stops like cramming funny stuff.
The main menu is just like an old fence post with a sign on it that says West of Loathing, and then has sort of distant desert rocks in a cloud, and your cursor is actually just a first person, like whenever you click it shoots and it plays a shoot sound, and the big metal sign that says West of Loathing sort of dings around with a little bit of physics, and you can sort of punch into the fence post. Have you tried shooting a cloud off in the distance?
No.
If you shoot a cloud, you hear the of your gunshot, and then like 10 seconds later the cloud goes and turns into dust and disappears.
Man,
so like
that's really good.
It's a good example of there being detail all over the place. The thing that you were saying about the sort of the sense of humor and the tone being really consistent, and it's a very different style of humor than like The Secret of Monkey Island, but it has
totally different.
I mean, I'm not making that comparison to try and say that the actual like substance, like the style of humor or the style of world is the same, but the sort of pervasive humor and the hit to miss ratio being very high in this game reminds me of the feeling of playing old funny adventure games.
Yeah.
Where they're actually funny, where the funniness is in playing them and just sort of bathing always in good writing.
Yeah.
Even though this is, like more absurdist and more like post-internet.
Yeah, it is, but it's not like indulgently post-internet. There's not like a bunch of meme references and stuff, which is what what passes for humor in a lot of modern games is like just sort of meaningless reference to pop culture phenomena. And I mean, this game occasionally references something from the world, but that is not the sort of bedrock on which the humor is built. The humor is just built on like wordplay and absurdism and just kind of gag writing in a way that...
the scenarios themselves are also funny often.
Yeah.
Like the circumstances in which you find yourself when you walk into a new town or a new room actually is good.
Yeah. Like an example of something that is really sort of... starts off as a very, very just stupid gag, but that the game pays off in the fullest extent possible. And I don't mind saying this because it happens early in the game, and I also think it is legitimately a selling point of the game, so I want to actually share it rather than treat it as a spoiler. Very early in the game, you can find a book that teaches a skill called stupid walking.
Oh, I found this as well.
Yeah, I think most people probably will. And then once you acquire that skill, stupid walking just appears as an option in the main pause menu. And when it's enabled, which it is by default after you learn this skill, your character, every single time you move anywhere, it just randomly rolls from what seemed like a dozen different walk cycles, all of which are
uniquely animated,
the stupidest looking crap of your character, like wackily flailing her arms around,
dragging themselves along the ground, or rolling up in a ball, or like just ice skating,
or like
cartwheels. It's really weird worm dance.
Yeah,
and then when you go in a cave and have a lantern for the first time, there's a completely different set of
there's a different set of random animations incorporating a lantern.
That's really good.
It's so fucking funny. Like the first time I saw it, I just about died because I didn't expect it and I didn't know what it meant. And
they all have unique good Foley. So like when your character's doing cartwheels, your walking is just like of just like basically hands as a wagon wheel rolling around, or you hear the little of yourself dragging yourself along the ground.
Yeah, and this is just. It's then just works this way for the entire rest of the game. I mean, you can turn it off if you want and just walk normally.
If I know you, you've been crazy walking for the whole game.
Yeah,
same.
Definitely. Every time you start moving, it changes it. And so sometimes I'll just sit there and go left, let go, left, left, until I get one that I really like, and I'll just have that one for a while. It's just a funny, stupid, like awesomely conceived and followed through joke that then permeates the entire game all the time for no reason other than the developers thought it was funny and then committed to it. And it's just, that is like totally emblematic of what this game is like. And it's it's just a unique experience to play because I don't know of many other sort of commercial games that are developed where the point of it is just to immerse yourself in that specific sensibility of the developers for this many hours, as opposed to for like a 1 hour kind of experimental game experience or something. But this is just a full length game, just a very like big, substantial game that is totally suffused with that, and it's great.
Yep,
I really like it. So anyway, it's called West of Loathing by Asymmetric, and it'll be on Steam. I mean, I think there's a Steam page up for it now. I don't know if you can pre-order it or not, but I think it's coming out within the next like couple weeks.
Yeah, the listed date on their site at least is just August, so I think it's very soon.
Okay.
I'm not a big turn-based RPG person, but this game walks like I just usually fall off of them very fast. This game like finds a balance between like classic adventure games and like towns full of people who actually have stories beyond one-line hints, and the classic turn-based combat and huge amounts of items and armor and leveling up all of your bullshit that I like I actually feel pulled through the game in a way that I don't know if I ever have been in a normal JRPG, other than maybe Mario RPG on the Super Nintendo.
Only wacky.
Or like
RPGs.
Mario and Luigi for similar. Yeah, for me it is for similar reasons. Where it's like all of the things around the turn-based combat are compelling enough that I don't fucking care about like a six-sword man who's going to leave his town. But this game basically
Mario lore in this game.
all I fucking want. Give me a stick figure cowboy or Super Mario, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
If it's a turn-based RPG.
Yeah. And what's funny is that this game also has its own sort of overblown mythos of, I don't know how much of this you've uncovered, Jake, but there's an entire other layer of like sort of pseudo-apocalyptic, like world-threatening stuff going on that you can uncover to the point that you can like you can start to like translate an in-world language through this like specific system that I'm not gonna reveal the nature of, but it's like there's a lot of incredibly detailed stuff going on in this game that seems like if you just played through the critical path you could absolutely never see any of. It's just a much bigger game than you would suspect to look at it or to watch the trailer, and all of it is just has a particular tone that is really good and well maintained.
Yep.
I like it. I like this game. It's called West.
Is that what we're doing now? I like it.
I guess it is.
It stinks. I like it. Like, all right.
We've traded in our long-held buy, rent, skip for I like
Right.
it. It stinks. Is the idle thumb a thumbs up or a thumbs down, Chris?
I like it.
Okay.
That's what I say when I'm holding my thumb up.
Okay.
Good.
It stinks, and then I have my thumb
Yes.
down. Yeah.
Got it.
Rent it, you say, with a thumb.
With
sort
a
of.
mid thumb. We
Yeah.
kept renting because
It's waggling.
we couldn't
It's
think
a
of
gif.
anything
Yeah.
to say that was thematically appropriate.
I like it. It stinks. Rent it.
Rent it is actually even a more damning criticism than it stinks because you can't
You can't do it anymore.
It is literally impossible.
Yeah, I guess there's not a lot of game rental options these days.
God.
Does Gamefly still exist? Does Redbox rent you games?
Redbox, I think, will rent you a game. I
yeah,
think.
probably.
I think.
Yeah.
Probably.
I saw once that you could rent Walking Dead from a Redbox, and I was slightly proud, but that was years ago now.
For what? For what system?
Probably Xbox.
What a pain in the ass for Redbox to have to contend with like all these different systems for these games. At least with movies, they just need one. There's one format.
Maybe they still have some technology left over from when they were renting HD DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah. I guess they probably have DVDs and Blu-rays. Maybe. I guess most people have Blu-ray, but I don't know.
I guess
what
not.
are we talking about? We're not talking about anything. It stinks, this podcast. Rent it. Nick, I know that you have played some video games.
Yeah, I played a few games.
Like what?
So I played a game called Production Line, which is in early access.
Never heard of this.
It's by the studio that made Gratuitous Space Battles, Positech Games,
yeah.
and which I did not really play.
Yeah.
But
that studio has made a whole bunch of games, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But this is their latest, and or maybe it's just by the guy who runs the studio. I'm not really sure. Either way,
Yeah.
it's called Production Line, and it's interesting. Like, there are a lot of games that are basically about production lines, right? Like, there's that
Infinifactory.
yeah,
and
Big
Space
Pharma,
Chem
all of
and-
these games that are just sort of about
I don't know,
chaining
Big
goods.
Pharma, man, you know all these games.
Yeah, I haven't played them all, but I know they exist, and
Yeah.
I played,
Factorio.
I played Factorial a bunch. This game is interesting because it sort of operates in the same space, but it's about the thing that invented the production line. It's just about making a car.
Oh, interesting.
So you run a car
Is it
factory.
historically about that, or is it about a modern version of it?
Well, I think it might evolve
Or
in
it's
that
just out of
direction along those
time?
lines. I think it's right now it's out of time, but it's very, very early.
Yeah.
And right now it's just you've got your sedan, your SUV, whatever, what have you, and it's all sort of modern tech. I imagine they'll sort
And
of
it's called
add some
Production
other-
Line?
It's called Production Line, and the thing that's interesting about it is, like, you start off on a really constrained map. I mean, there are different options in terms of how constrained it is, but it's not like Factorio or these other games where it's just as much space as you want. Like, you have a block of space that you buy, and then to expand, you've got to actually like plunk a ton of money down to build more space in. But even once you've expanded the entire play area, it's fairly contained, and you've got to make a car, which, like, I don't know. It's interesting playing one of these games where it's an actual like real life product that is sort of represented in the way that it should be, which is that, like, you start off with kind of the.
Do you have to make it according to a fixed blueprint, or can you
You
improvise?
create blueprints. So you create like a car model that then needs to be satisfied by the production line itself. So you say, I here's my car model. It's like the sort of Brecken S-Class, whatever, and it's got X number of features that you research, obviously, and then can add to the model. And then,
the
then
Breck conveyor.
Yeah, and then it starts out as a chassis that then gets things added to it by these machines, and each machine takes, or each sort of station takes a certain
Do they
amount
have
of time.
human workers?
They do have human workers,
Okay.
but mostly they're just operating robots. And each station takes a certain amount of time to make the thing. Each station can be upgraded to, for instance, if it's like an electronic station, it can be upgraded to be able to add like an air conditioning unit or what have you. And so like as you research stuff, you've got to create the sort of chain that allows it to be built, and then also upgrade the stations, and also find the space in your factory to actually make all of this work. It's a weird puzzle, because you start off with stations that do lots of things all at once. Like you start off with a station that will do all of the things that a wheel needs to be installed on a car.
Yeah.
But then you
can start specializing it.
You can start specializing it, but then as you specialize, like you've got the one that just puts the hubcap on. But that will take sort of more or less time than another machine that's just next in the chain, which means then you're starting to back up. And as you zoom the map out, it starts to reduce itself into this minimalist kind of here's each car represented as a rectangle on your production line. Here, if it's a car that's actually making efficient progress, it's colored green. If it's stalled, it's colored red. If it's in between, it's yellow. And so you can kind of get at this massive zoomed out version of your production line and kind of see where things are being stalled, which then just creates basically an endless problem of making it the most efficient production line possible.
Does it keep zooming out and zooming out and zooming out until you see the full view of late capitalist neoliberalism nightmare?
It just zooms out to Factorio and everything is just ruined and dead.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't have much more to say about it except that it's very early, but it is interesting. I enjoy it partly because it is just a really grounded version of one of these games where I'm making the super fancy car that's got a GPS unit. Oh fuck, and that's going to cost me X number of things per unit. And now they're adding things like marketing and all these major components still. And
so people might just
choose
not to buy your car.
Right. Yeah, you are competing against unseen AI factories that are in the background. And it's also
so this really is going to eventually start just modeling capitalism.
They're researching those factories are researching things in parallel to you, but you might see them go down a different path and start to specialize in sunroofs and really
they're
sort
a power
of
window team.
Yeah, exactly.
There,
and then as those things get more and more used in their cars, they become more common, which then makes them less valuable in your models. So you've got specializing essentially makes it more, advantageous to your company. Anyway, it's a long, sort of boring summation of this game, but it's good, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it can turn into something
Does it actually have any sort of historical anything? Do you start by making things that look like clunky Model Ts?
No,
end
but
with a spaceship.
I mean, this game I think
you get a space victory.
I mean, I hope it goes in in a direction where you start with a Model T. I feel like that would be what you want.
Victory conditions include post 2008 financial crisis auto bailout or space victory.
Yeah, or Blade Runner.
Yeah, or the just all human workers laid off, all human drivers also removed. When your factory's final goal is perfection achieved of robots building
all of the robot
robots.
arms just turn on all of the humans, and then that's your.
Then it reaches out
over.
of your monitor, crushes your skull, and it says data complete.
Right.
It says, where do you want to go today? It says, rent it?
Rent it.
It says, rent it. This car that you built. Yeah. Thank you for teaching us how to build cars autonomously. Yeah. Touch your thumb to this, and you can drive to your job to clear out your desk.
Your services are no longer
and
required.
Then a huge title card comes up covering your entire vision that says, what is the game called?
Production line.
Yeah, that says production line. Excuse me. I thought it was factory floor for some reason.
They just start building themselves.
Yeah, your vision blacks out and all you can see is the word production line, and then you die. And you realize that's your life.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway.
Available now in early access.
That's how it ends.
This game sounds bleak, Nick.
Yeah, it's pretty bleak.
It sounds pretty fun, though, up until the part where humanity is briefly enslaved and then erased.
Right.
Because of their love for cars.
Yeah.
The Disney Pixar franchise.
Yeah. Our marketing shows that humans love cars.
What does that even mean?
Find out.
Yeah.
Production line.
This summer.
Find out when it gets out of early access, all this stuff's gonna get added finally. Then,
when the humans are placed inside of the
sense.
car chassis and then giant eyes appear.
And then, shit, that is the other victory condition.
Where they just get shoved into the guts.
You've got
of the cars.
auto bailout, space victory, and cars.
Yeah, what is this upgrade button? It says add humans for $500. I guess I'll just try that. Oh,
well, that's when you keep progressing along the battery tech tree until eventually, like the next one is just organic batteries. Like, wow, that sounds
data
pretty
storage
efficient.
and advanced batteries. What is this?
Advanced battery storage, battery and AI control. Oh wow, that sounds great.
That sounds interesting. Yeah.
Where'd all the guys? Where'd all the people go?
Interesting.
Where'd all my guys go?
The person being stuffed in and then there being sort of like an optical lens effect where their eyes go boop and go up into the windshield.
Yeah. That is actually
like someone putting on like super Coke bottle glasses, basically.
Right.
Yep. That's totally the monkey's paw like version of wishing for perfect driverless cars, because that organic human piloting the car is not in fact a driver. It's just an energy source. the actual computer does the driving. That person does not.
Yeah. No, it's true.
They're just there to say, I see something up ahead with my giant eyes, and say, okay, I'll turn left. Don't worry. I got it.
I got this, yeah.
Please kill me.
I know.
No, I won't. So that's that game, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what is your other thing that you were going to talk about, Nick?
Oh, well, I was going to talk about 2 other games, so I just,
let's just roll through. Let's just keep doing this
we'll just
podcast.
keep going. Sure, whatever.
Blast it. What's your game, Nick?
All right. What's your game,
What's your
Nick?
game? Try to mutate all humans into cars? What's your game?
Trying to sell us on your unfinished early access
video game podcast.
I just said rent it. My game is The Isle, which is...
I haven't heard of this either. Where are you finding all these games?
They're just all early. They're all just weird early access
games. Are you
games.
just trawling early access these days?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, that's cool.
I mean, this is like 2 weeks ago, but...
Yeah.
The Isle is sort of...
Is that like an island or like a supermarket aisle?
It's like an island.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. You just played a game about a production
No, it's true.
line,
That's a fair question. It's a fair question. The Isle.
Find it in your grocer's freezer.
Yeah. It's a game about it's a game it's sort of in the mold of one of these games like Rust or what have you, where it's sort of like a you're playing as a character in sort of a multiplayer server that's on a set map, and just the sort of basic goal is just to survive. But you're playing as a dinosaur.
Post-DayZ game. Whoa!
You're playing as a dinosaur in this case, and it caught my eye. It's I don't.
That is burying the lead for sure.
Yeah, of course.
You give your game an artsy title like The Isle, and you play as a dinosaur.
I know. I don't know why I became aware of this game, but once I did, I thought, well, this is worth at least a half an hour. And so I loaded it up.
Well, of course, the Isle and Nublar is where.
That's true.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's very early, and I'm not like I'm not even saying rent it or it stinks or buy it yet. It's kind of a weird oddity.
Well, this game came out years ago.
Are you looking at the right one?
Yeah, December 1st, 2015.
I guess that is years ago at this point. I think it's just been kind of like very, very early for a while. In terms of what it is.
Right.
I want to say just a couple of things about it, and then I'll move on really quickly. But it's kind of got some features in it that I thought were novel for these sorts of games.
It looks nice.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing as a dinosaur. You start low on the food chain, so if you sort of choose herbivore or carnivore, and then you start as either like a little raptor or just a tiny kind of shitty.
Is this a multiplayer game? Okay.
Yeah, he said it's like a Rust or DayZ. It's like a
so
DayZ,
there are like 60 people
right?
on a server, or maybe I think up to 100 or something. But and you start on a low on the food chain. There's some sort of upgrade mechanic that I found a hard time grasping what it was. I think as time goes on, you essentially earn enough points to kind of hatch yourself as a slightly more large dinosaur, basically. But they're all along sort of species lines. So if you start as kind of the smaller type of Triceratops, then eventually you become the bigger one.
Yep.
It's just a weird game. Like, it's not necessarily good because it's just it's so rough right now.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is that there's no goal whatsoever. It's literally, I mean,
you just don't die.
Yeah, I mean, like there are games like Rust where it's like, oh, you're gonna build your fort and do all this stuff. This game is just like, you're a dinosaur, go eat, and that's
a way.
That's all that there is, which I find kind of interesting in sort of like a really stripped down DayZ way.
Your goal is just to find a way. Your goal is for life to find a way.
Right, you find life finds a way. So
I totally just said that seconds ago.
It's like a joke that I just thought of, which is that life finds a way.
It's like this joke I made up called Jurassic Park quotes.
So I started playing as this little shitty herbivore, and right off the bat, like I knew I made a mistake because like everybody in this game is a fucking raptor or a T-Rex or something.
There must be some benefit. Why is
there
that
really isn't? I think it might be easier to upgrade because you just eat plants, whereas carnivores have to actually eat other players in order to survive, which means you have to find people, and it's a huge map. And so I'm just walking around eating plants, and for probably like 20 minutes, I didn't find anybody else in this game, and I thought, well, this must just be like a massive map. I have no idea what I'm doing. There's just plants everywhere. And then I just felt like this, like I saw the screen shake, and then eventually I heard like a woo, and I was like, oh man, what is this? And I turned the corner, and there's this huge like brachiosaur, and I was like, oh cool. And so I just started like running around this guy, and he just like clearly noticed me, and I thought, well, I'll just like stick with this guy. This guy is just like, this guy's my friend. He's like, I'm good. He's gonna protect me, and I'll just be this little shitty guy.
Was he in the mob though?
And but like it's
like, was he working with someone else? These are humans inside these dinosaurs.
That's true.
No, he's just
these dinosaurs have Discord access.
Yeah. But no, they don't. Like everybody's just running around, just kind of being a dinosaur. And I thought, well, this is weird. I've already kind of done like what an animal does. Like I've already attached myself to a larger animal for protection,
right?
Which just in and of itself is kind of interesting. And I sort of followed him around for about 5 minutes. And then we get down to this like lagoon, and I very quickly realized, because this game has like a food and a water meter for survival, like, oh man, this is also just going to model what it's like to be an animal. Watering holes are just going to be like where everybody hangs out and just fucking gets owned. And so, like, of course, like,
I mean, how frequently do you have to manage your hunger and thirst?
Pretty frequently. Yeah. It's pretty rough. Like you die within like 10 minutes if you don't do anything. So I went down there with this brachiosaur, and I thought, well, I don't see anybody. And then out of nowhere, there's this like herd of like 20 other dinosaurs of just like various types, and they're just like rolling through.
Here's the thing I don't understand.
Yeah.
Why are they herding if individually everyone is just trying to survive? Why don't they just kill each other?
For survival. Like they naturally came together, like just to be a gang of people, and
they're moving in herds.
They are moving in herds, and I was like, oh wow, like I think maybe the brachiosaur, because there were herbivores and carnivores. I was like, okay, everyone's just gonna get along, and we're just gonna join this herd. And I look over, and they're already eating my friend, just like tearing into him.
Oh, no.
And I'm small enough that they're not really like paying attention to me.
Right.
And I was just like horrified. I was like, oh my god, like. My guy, my buddy, you're eating you. Like, oh shit. And he was like, I felt so bad.
Wow. What a strange experience.
Did you see a subtitle that said "Help me"?
The only other thing I'll say about this game is that like the other cool thing about it is that anytime you do something, like if you attack somebody or you like jump, your guy will just sort of make a little noise. Now, if you're
is it like a Doom guy noise?
Yeah, he just goes like. But what's cool is that because it's involuntary, it means that players are constantly making noises, and you can hear them in the distance. And so when you're playing as a carnivore, you can hear when the brachiosaur like eats a thing, he goes like, "Arr!" And you just like then go, oh shit, there's something like 10 miles that way, and now I can go track him. And it's just this whole like audio positional game, which is again just like a thing that dinosaurs do. Like they just listen for their prey, they like home in on it, and then
as we know,
you assume.
I'm just saying, as an expert in the field of Jurassic Park,
sure, as a paleontologist.
Anyway.
As someone who has a Jurassic Park Junior paleontologist card.
What was I just going to say? Oh yeah, in theory, like I mean, you know, in theory, in the way the game works, was it even possible for your little dinosaur to like kill other dinosaurs?
No, I don't think so. I think only like stegosauruses and stuff have attacks.
So why would anyone? I guess I just don't. It's really. I simultaneously think it is really cool and interesting that you can play a small, like non-aggressive herbivore. I think that's like an awesome thing.
Well, everybody
but
has
I'm wondering
to start
why...
low on the food chain. You can't just start as a big.
Is that,
and it's
does that
easier
persist,
because you can just eat plants that are just everywhere. Whereas if
so
you're a raptor, you've got to find.
But do you grow into
kill.
a bigger dinosaur within one game, or does that happen across many games?
I mean, it's within the one server, but it takes a while.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I was never really clear on the upgrade mechanic.
So if you come back next week, you still have to start off as the. Okay. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah. it's in the zone of making sense. A lot of the systems need a ton of work.
So
it's very early, and I wouldn't recommend the game
I'm
necessarily.
Sure,
but
I'm sure the number I'm saying is incorrect, but whatever. It might take you
65 million
years. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Get it? Okay,
it might take you half a dozen games in a row to work up to a T-Rex, but that's because you didn't ever log off. But then once you log off that server and come back to whatever server, you're starting over again.
Once you die, no. I think it's persistent in terms of, if you log off as whatever you are, you come back as that.
Oh.
But if you die, you're done. You're going back to the small guy.
But if the game is just survived, what causes a game to end? So it's not last man standing.
No. This just goes on forever. There's no like win state.
Oh.
It's just sort of an open sandbox type thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
Which is weird. Which I mean, it's again, it's like Rust. It's like these games that just have
I was so much in the mind of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds because we were talking about that, but that's obviously not how all of these games work.
No.
Yeah.
No. It's a much more sandboxy thing, which doesn't necessarily really hold my attention.
Well, then, so how do you evolve like a Pokemon then?
Kind of. Yeah. I think you just sort of like hatch again as like the bigger thing.
What triggers that? What causes that?
I'm not entirely sure.
So it was hard for me. You've only been the shitty dinosaur.
Yeah, and yeah.
You've only been the adorable Vegisaurus.
Basically. Yeah. I don't know a lot about the game. I don't think many people are playing this game. I just thought it was really interesting.
Enough people were playing it for you to have an amazing like emergent herd fucking event. That's incredible.
Seems like there's like a very dedicated like small core.
Yeah, that sounds like the kind of
they all run around in one herd.
Yeah.
Pick off any noobs.
Man, that is very fascinating.
It's a very interesting concept. But anyway.
What's that game called?
The Isle.
The Isle. All right, break. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by ProFlowers. The most professional flowers.
It says so in the name.
I feel like I can back that up. ProFlowers are guaranteed to last for at least 7 days. I am coming pretty close to 7 days with my latest ProFlowers.
Oh, nice.
I swapped out the little food they give you. Swapped out the water. Going strong. I've got their rainbow roses.
I was sent ProFlowers as well for this ad, but I was out of town. I was in Montana for the week.
Man.
So Dana and I gave the bouquet to the cat sitter who we had paid to come by our house every day.
Oh, so you did something surprising and unexpected.
I did.
For a person who deserves a nice gesture.
I said, here, cat sitter, because she wrote us...
That's the perfect accidental usage of ProFlowers.
She wrote us saying, why are these flowers were delivered and you guys are out of town? And then we were able to say, oh, they're for you.
We thought of... You were so kind in providing your service for which we paid you that also these flowers are to brighten your life.
Yeah.
You said it exactly like that, and you wrote those exact words, and it was really awkward.
Yeah.
If you want to send those rainbow roses or whatever other ProFlowers to anyone else who deserves them, you can get 20% off that or any other collection when you spend $29 or more by going to proflowers.com and using the code THUMBS at checkout.
They're really nice bouquets of flowers. They're very pretty.
They are quite nice. Yeah.
They make your house look nice, or like your mom's house.
Sure. Yeah, it's like you suddenly put those in there and you're like, oh, someone has a whole like vibe going on here.
Yeah.
Because you can't just buy like one piece of furniture and then it's just there forever. It's like if you see these, you're like, oh, this person like they keep their shit up.
Yeah. You could kiss up to and confuse your boss by sending them these flowers.
Proflowers.com with the offer code THUMBS at checkout for 20% off.
Get them for everyone in your workplace.
This episode of Idle Thumbs is also brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is, as I hope you know by now,
the
most professional, user-friendly, intuitive way to make your very own website, portfolio, blog, or online store. With incredibly easy-to-use online tools, you can drag and drop stuff around. They have 24/7 customer support, which is extremely helpful. And it's essentially one place you can go to complete all of the parts of your website, including design of it, the hosting of it. You can get your domain name there. So we have just been in a mode recently where lots of people we know have been, just getting married and going a lot of ways. I have noticed a lot of Squarespace wedding sites.
If you've ever wanted to make a website, just get married. Then you have to make one.
My wedding site was using Squarespace. It is just, if you need a website for any purpose, you can just go and make it. You can get started without a credit card and put all the stuff on it. And before you even make any commitment, you know how it's going to look and whether you liked.
You're, of course, referring to a commitment to your partner with whom you want to share the rest of your life.
Yes, exactly. Just try it out.
You can get the website done for basically right now before you just say Chris and name.
Right.
Are celebrating our wedding on date. So you can make that. Make that commitment free.
When I get married, I can definitely have confirmed this will be a really nice website.
Yeah.
Whenever I meet that person, this is going to be great. Yeah. If you go to squarespace.com, you can get started with a trial without needing to sign up for any payment or anything. Get it all going, and then when you're ready to check out, just enter the offer code THUMBS at checkout for 10% off your first purchase. That is squarespace.com with the offer code THUMBS. I think we're back.
No, we're not. Now we are.
I think we're back.
Oh,
we're back.
We're back.
Nick, did you have another game? I can't remember. Nick can do another game.
Okay. Well, I can tell a brief story.
Go for it. Tell a brief story.
The reason I played The Isle is I think I spent maybe 2 hours just like becoming aware of the fact that I know nothing of that entire genre of games, and so the other game that I played,
the Rust's
the other game that I played finally for just like a half an hour was Rust, and my story of that was weird. So I will just kind of recount my experience of that, and then we can move on. I didn't know anything about Rust. Rust is again, it's like one of these games where it's, I think actually Rust is up to like 200 people on a server, and the sort of basic conceit is you start with nothing. Things exist in the world to sort of be harvested or crafted or what have you. You can build yourself up into this, you can build like bases. It actually has a very slick kind of like base building UI. Like everything about it is a little more precise and just like it feels really good in a way that a lot of these games don't, I think.
Yeah.
But, one of the reasons I never really played any of these games is I just felt this is just going to be populated by a bunch of jerks, and I don't really want to run around just like running away from jerks and yelling at jerks and stuff.
Who would?
So, I didn't really know what to expect. It's one of those games where if you speak into your microphone, it broadcasts your voice within a radius.
Right, proximity chat.
And the first 10 minutes, of course, was just me with nothing getting mercilessly destroyed by just people with guns and just clubs and just getting Groundhog Day killed over and over again. But I finally found my way into the middle of the island at a certain point and found a nice little beach where nobody was. And I was really happy that I found this stupid beach where I felt like I was far enough away that nobody was going to find me. And I learned how to make a map. And there was clearly the remnants of multiple bases that sort of had been abandoned but still had workable creations. One of the things you can craft is a smelter where you can sort of take the scraps of metal that you find and melt it down and make little bars of stuff that you can then craft walls and shit with. So I was all right, I'm just gonna build a little house and just on this beach and just play a nice version of this game where there aren't any jerks and this is gonna be nice and good.
Sure.
And so I spent an hour doing this, and the day night cycle. It's actually a fairly pretty game. It's not the art style isn't super consistent, but it is pretty at certain times, and I was kind of enjoying it. It's sort of like Zelda in the way that you can't go above a certain elevation or you get cold and you need to have cold weather gear. So I was just staying on my beach, and I built my little house, and it is a really nice UI for building your house. Everything kind of just it has that almost AR kind of thing where the outline of the floor or something
totally.
pops in, and then everything sort of...
It's like Fallout 4 kind of has that.
Exactly. Fallout 4 is a good example. And so it also has a fairly low level of time investment in terms of actually collecting materials and shit in this game. So I was kind of happy with that. I was like, okay, I can build my house and get it up and going. And one other thing I quickly realized is that, if you build your house out of wood, you can just blow through it with an axe or just very basic stuff, and people are just going to come and kill me. So I spent time using these smelters next to this enormous fortress that was empty, which, by the way, is a really disconcerting thing in this game. It's kind of like walking around a Minecraft server where there are just massive, impressive things and nobody's in them.
But that's my favorite Minecraft experience.
Yeah, in this game, it's it's in some
but
ways
in this
even
game,
more.
they were all murdered, whereas in Minecraft, they're just not.
It's really strange. I mean, there's that where they've either all been murdered or they might just be in there and I don't know.
Right.
And so you're just like slowly approaching this massive fortress. Like, I'm gonna use this thing, and hopefully you're not in there. If you do, I didn't mean to use it that long. I'm just gonna use it. So I'm just in the shadow of this fucking massive thing, just kind of eking out in existence. And I upgrade my walls to be stone, which once you do that, like, even though, I'm sure with like really advanced stuff you can blow them down, like your average
Did you say
player.
Blow them down like the big bad wolf?
Yeah, like the big bad wolf.
Like
Yeah,
an advanced wolf. You could blow
like
them down.
some kind of
W
like,
period, O period, L period, F
right,
period.
yes. Yeah.
With an advanced
the
Operation
Kojima
Wolf.
unit. And so I was feeling pretty good. I was like, all right, I got my walls. It was like literally like, just a tiny like 4x4 square, nothing impressive, just a place to
4x4 what, meters?
Yeah, basically. And just that, and like a chest that took me a long time to make where I can put stuff in it, and that was it. Oh, and a little fire inside the thing. And I was just
a fireplace, or you just set a fire?
Just a fire, like a with logs,
like a campfire,
like a campfire that you can take wood and put it on the fire,
yeah.
and then turn it on, and it will just like create a little ambient light, and that actually like calms your character down, which reduces the need for food and stuff. So at nighttime, your character is nice and happy and doesn't need to run around and collect things. So I was like, okay, all right, feeling pretty good. I got like a very basic axe. And it was nighttime, and I'm just hiding in my little house, and I walk outside the next morning, and it's been like 45 minutes to 60 minutes of me just like really just serenely playing this game, like a very like chill, relaxed experience.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and I walk down the beach, and I just see two guys emerging from the mist with bow and arrows, and they stop, and I stop, and we just look at each other for a minute.
Yeah.
And I just turn around and start sort of like slowly walking back to my house, my little hole. And I turn back and look, and they're running after me, and I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. So I run into my
What did you think they might do?
I don't know, because people are weird in this game. Like, it's like DayZ, where like, they don't necessarily want to kill you, they just want to like make you like one of them, or they want to do, I mean, people are fucking weird. So it's like, I don't know what they want.
They want to strip and humiliate you for hours.
Exactly. I don't know if they're going to tar and feather me, whatever. So I run into my little square, my little box, and I close the door, and I'm like, okay, they can't get me. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's going to be fine. And then I just hear from outside of the door, I hear this guy go, please let me in, mister. Let me in. He's chasing me. He's chasing me. Please let me in. Let me in. Let me in. Please open the door.
What if this is a trick? What if this is a trick?
Open the door. Oh, it was a fucking trick. I knew it was a trick because I knew one of them shot at me, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I waited.
Yeah,
I
that's
waited.
amazing.
I waited 20 seconds, and I didn't hear the other guy get attacked.
Was it a little kid?
Yeah, it was just a little kid trolling me like a fucking like 13-year-old. Again,
that's
sorry,
disgraceful.
Just old guy. Every episode now is just me, like old guy complaining about teens taunting him on a fucking video game. But it was true. He was like, let me in, mister. Come on, he's gonna kill me. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
Why is it?
Then eventually, when he realizes you're not doing it,
yeah,
like you suck.
No,
you're terrible.
No. Here's what happened. He goes, I don't want to die. No, please. And then just nothing. And then the day and night cycle starts to switch to nighttime.
Oh man!
And I'm like, what the fuck are they out
You
there?
should have just yelled, kill him.
You can see through the cracks of the doorway, and so I could see shapes moving, but I couldn't see anything. And then I just hear tink, 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 and I'm like, oh my god, they're out there and they're trying to break in. But they can't, and I'm like, okay.
Why can't they?
Oh shit, because stone walls,
right?
And so I'm like, okay, I'm fine. So I just light my fire, and I'm like, you got, this is fine. Yeah. This is totally fine. And so like for probably 5 minutes, it's just like tink, 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 and then I just hear, we know you're in there. Come out. We're going to fucking kill you. We're going to kill you and you're going to die. You piece of shit. Come out. Oh, no. We're not leaving. You're going to die. And I'm like, oh, god damn it. Fuck. They're not going to leave. What am I going to do? I just have to log off. Like, so I'm just like, all right.
Do you have like food and stuff in there?
I had some food, but not like a lot. And I was like, all right. Get your shit together. I pull out my weapon and I'm like, well, I think I'm okay. And then I hear tink, 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 ka-chink. Ka-chink,
oh no!
Ka-chink. And I'm like, "What's happening? I'm fine because it's stone. This can't be." And then I look down at my feet. I hadn't made the floor with stone. I made it with wood. I made it with wood, and there was like a 6-inch rise off the ground of my base, and they had crouched down as low as they could and were chipping away at my floor. And I was like, oh my God. So I back up into the corner of my stupid box, and I got my like most impressive weapon out, which was just a stupid like axe. And I'm like, oh my God, they're gonna come in here. Oh no, I had a gun. I found a gun or something. So I had a gun with like 2 bullets, and I'm just pointing it at the noise that I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Just like getting ready, like hands shaking, just like, and like if I had a microphone, I would have been like, I'm gonna kill you.
This
I'm
is
gonna
like
kill
the fucking Purge.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. And then finally, just like, and just like the floor explodes, and because the floor explodes, the wall explodes and crumbles.
Oh my God.
And then there's like dust, and I can't see anything. And then just like 6 arrows, just like, and I'm just fucking dead, just instantly. Like they just Counter-Strike, like headshot me, like, and they come in and they just take all my shit, and there's like, they're doing the crouching thing, it's just, I'm like, oh God damn it, like.
Wow.
This, of course, this is what happens. You just, anyway.
God, they came through the floor.
It was like a horror movie. It was like a really good moment. It was a very good moment, but also very bad.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Anyway,
I'm not sorry. I got to hear that story.
Yeah. Me too.
I felt like that's all I needed to get out of that game. I feel like I've.
I know, right?
Yeah. That's all I want from it was that moment.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's just. I mean, that's just gonna be that times a 10 if I spend.
But you could be that
hours.
guy next.
Yeah, I don't want to be.
That's true. Who really wants to be that person?
I don't want to be that guy. Yeah. Anyway.
That's intense. Wow. That was way more substantial than I was expecting.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
just like you, Nick Brecken.
Thanks. That's all.
Want to do some reader mail?
Yeah.
Well, here's this is relevant to what we were just talking about, kind of, that genre of game. Greg writes, hey, Thumbs, while I haven't gotten into PUBG the way much of the internet seems to have, it's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, I had a thought I can't shake. Like you noted, it's similar in theme and makeup to something like The Hunger Games. I can't help but think how amazing it would be to have an in-game room where spectators could watch the game play out and, for the first 5 to 10 minutes at least, place bets on the potential outcome. Spectating could be great unto itself, and due to the constricting nature of the game, it would frequently lead to a climax which would only be heightened by having something on the line. However, this seems impossible to do properly in a world where streaming is so prevalent, as viewing into the spectator room could give a serious advantage, and the possibility of rigging machines would also be a major concern. With the flash-in-the-pan success of Salty Bet, I don't know what that is, and the growing rise of esports, but also the horrible depths of Counter-Strike's skin betting morass, which allowed for children to gamble, where do you see betting on games going in the future? Will it be feasible or reasonable outside of circumstances like the International, where outside communication of the bets can't reach the players? Are there any competitive games you think would be especially interesting to see how people might wager? Thanks for the consistently wonderful casts.
Greg. Seems like it'll just be the same as every other thing that you can or can't gamble on. I don't know.
I don't know what that answer means.
I mean, it'll probably end up, if it's not regulated already, will become regulated, will become legal in certain areas, and if it can't be controlled because of a bunch of cheating, there just won't be a betting culture. I mean, I don't know. I'm sorry that's not an interesting answer, but it just doesn't. It seems.
The part of that's more interesting to me is his like pitch for speculating, and then even if it's not real money, whatever. I think just the
that stuff. I would love if people started putting weird meta layers like that inside of the actual games like this. The part about games actually being a big gambling enterprise around games, that seems we just don't have the ability to answer that well, I don't think.
Yeah.
But it would be really fun to be able to play, like, basically dress up in your spy party attire and just sit in a little high-end viewing room to watch PUBG.
Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care about the real money side of it, but the part of it that is a bummer to me that has challenges in terms of making it real is, as Greg points out, the reality of streaming making it. I mean, obviously, streaming is the thing that makes it possible to have spectator modes and stuff, right? And or to watch games professionally this way. but also the thing that makes it really hard to guarantee it's a fair playing field.
Maybe you need a thing that's like the International or another pro gaming tournament where you have the sealed-in glass room and people can only see the like if you're playing in a Dota tournament, except that is just a high rollers lounge where if you really want to get into like speculative gambling on PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, you have to actually go to a little glassed-in room.
Only the actual players
would need to be in there.
The spectators, it doesn't really matter.
But unfortunately, in this case, it's 100 players.
It's only the players you need to keep from seeing this
from
stuff.
seeing what the gamblers are doing?
Yeah. It'd be 100 people, though. That'd be a lot of
that's true. There's 100
You have to do it at like QuakeCon or something. Just lock people in a weird chamber.
God, I wonder if eventually, I mean, this might be a really, like, the result of really shitty technology, like sort of oppressive DRM, but I wonder if in the future it will actually be possible when you launch a specific game, like let's say, 5 years from now, you can launch PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and in order for you to play a certain mode of that game, like sort of pro spectated mode, right, where you're an actual player, but it's a specific game mode where the game is the same, but by opting into that, you're giving the game control of like all the ports on your internet connection or something, and it's just ensuring that there's no like incoming traffic from any streaming service.
People would always get around that, though.
I know.
Someone would just be like, "Well, I'll just tether off my cell phone and put it in another room and not have the speakers plugged in." Like, you can have as many incoming and outgoing internet connections as you want. So that's just
the way that you could do it. Is then an even more outrageous future where in order to play this mode, okay. Have you guys ever used professional software? Like a lot of audio software has this. Seems to be less common now, but for many years this was common.
Are you going to propose a PUBG dongle?
A dongle, yeah, where in order to use the software to prevent piracy, you had to have an actual physical dongle that you plugged into your computer that would authenticate your copy. Like I used to have these for audio software.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, and if there was one that was like a localized fucking like equivalent of an EMP or something where it can somehow like block all non-PUBG internet in-out traffic. That seems insane and impossible, but it just
makes it way more cyberpunk to me though. If it's like, oh, you want to play in the big leagues, you got to plug this in, and then it's data blocker,
shimmery globe,
like a hex globe
around you,
wipes over all of your internet, except for PUBG.
It's just such a bummer that because the very technology that enables stuff like this, it's just such a bummer that it also means you can never get the fully sort of closed box competitive version of it, because that's what you want with something like this.
Maybe you could do a sort of end around on this entire thing by making a gambling scene somewhere, like an online gambling that appears to just be like blobs in a petri dish that are doing things, and you can bet on those, and what you don't know is that all of the data that's inside that is coming from PUBG. Like if you could just sort of make them seem like they're two completely unrelated.
Sorry, say this again. I'm not following you somehow.
I'm saying that you never mind.
Wait, no, I want to hear it. Oh, you said the word blob a lot, and that's attractive.
The idea that in one place there's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and in another place there's this video game where you all look like spy party characters playing, like existing in a high rollers lounge, betting on some fictional thing, but you don't reveal the fact that the thing that those characters are betting on is actually that game. You abstract it out so they have like a weird, they have like a weird hologrid that looks like, whatever. Something totally abstract. I was proposing that it looks like weird, like microbes fighting each other on like an old sandwich or something, but or it looks like Darwinia or something like that.
I thought you were just saying that like there's no way to connect a given server to.
Oh, I mean that's abstracting it enough like that so that the data would be as complicated and insane to watch and play as literally watching and playing PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, but don't reveal to people that it's been filtered aesthetically and has some other weird stuff on it, so you can't tell what it is, but you're just giving people incredibly complicated data to gamble on. That's all. But there's no way for a player to make a correlation.
So this would just be a gambling thing. It wouldn't actually be a fun spectator watching thing.
No, it's just
that's the part that I care about. I don't really care about the betting part so much.
I don't think there's any way to do this.
No.
Yeah. That's really sad. That actually makes me really sad. Because the system is so perfect for it. It's like actually perfect for that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
Yeah.
I mean,
you would have to just lock them all in a room. I mean, that's just the only way to do it.
It is like the least feasible game for that because it requires 100 people.
It would be very difficult to monitor those 100 people and make sure that one of them isn't doing something. You know what I mean?
No, it wouldn't be hard if it was treated like an esports event and it's just those computers are.
I think it would be an esports event, but it would look like a NASA space launch. It would just be rows and rows and rows.
Yeah.
And somebody would find a way to cheat with that kind of environment.
Well, are you claiming that they have found a way to cheat on a StarCraft game or something? I mean,
I'm just saying that's like at most with a Dota match, it's 5 people that you need to monitor. Whereas like with this, with you would need like a huge. I guess you would just have a huge staff, all watching.
I feel like once they're all present, that is very solvable compared to the version of it where everyone's distributed in their homes. That. If you actually bothered to getting everyone there in person, like whatever, I can trust that people can figure out how to lock that down. But I'm bummed about the version of it. That's never going to happen, though. Like, we're not actually going to, right? I mean, we're probably not actually going to see arenas full of 100 people playing PUBG. That's hilarious. I mean, it would be good. Probably not likely. But I wish that this was somehow possible. Maybe it is. Write us at questions@idlethumbs.net and tell us what clever technology we are not aware of.
You would have to just reduce the scale of it, right? If there were 12 people.
That's boring, though.
Yeah, but I still want the version of it where you can just do it in your house. You know, not have to go to a place. Yeah. Rob from Philly writes, "Hey Thumbs, I thought of Jake's idea of the first random kill in Friday the 13th. Transforming that player into Jason seems brilliant, but as you pointed out, it has some thematic flaws regarding teen behavior prior to the round starting. I'd like to offer a simple solution. Make this game based on The Thing. I think the idea of characters working together at the start, then one disappearing for a brief period and returning to possibly be The Thing could lead to some intense multiplayer situations. I'll leave it to you to unpack this idea. I literally pulled over to the side of the road to write this because the idea excited me so much. Stay spicy, Thumbs." I don't understand. So if someone disappears and comes back, why would you not just assume they're The Thing? Are people constantly disappearing and coming back, but they're not always The Thing?
Yeah, you'd have to there has to be a way that you could make the opening of a sort of first-person multiplayer game based around The Thing. There's got to be a way to work like that, where if like everyone has 3 prep tasks that they have to get done during the 7 minutes at the beginning of the round, and one of them will get turned into The Thing, and then it does kind of become Spy Party for a minute. Yeah,
that's a good idea. If the game forces you, The Thing is that makes sense. So at the beginning of the Thing game, you all have to go to a different part of the ice base or whatever and do something, and then one of you gets thinged.
Right, because I think it's okay that eventually into the round, once you're like, that guy is The Thing, so what? That's fine. Then you're the equivalent of Jason.
Do you even know if you're The Thing at the beginning? That would be the craziest fucking part, is if you find out when The Thing busts out of you and kills someone. But it's like they don't know that they're The Thing.
I think that they do.
Or do they? Actually, I guess it's unclear.
The Thing knows that it's The Thing and can present as a person.
The Thing is mimicking a person who is dead.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah.
You have to kill the person first.
You're right.
But so one of you is possessed with a weird alien murderer, and you know it as the player.
Yeah.
The other people around you wouldn't know for a while, until either you killed someone in plain sight or you were just conveniently not around for like 5 minutes of the round, where people are like, okay.
But why would you choose to not be around?
Because you're The Thing. Because you want to go off into the woods and stalk people and wait for someone to get alone and then kill them.
Yeah, but if that's true, then there would be multiple people who were conspicuously not around, not just one.
I guess that's true once you start killing people. If you kill people carefully, you're either ambiguously dead or out looking for a dead person or The Thing.
This feels like it's worth prototyping for sure. I mean, like, I feel like there would be challenges to get balance this right.
So you're saying if you're
but it seems like a really good.
If you made the Friday the 13th game, make the sequel as The Thing.
If The Thing can change into whatever person he's killed,
or like a dog or whatever.
Killed,
Oh right. Then the thing could conveniently
you could
keep
be like, changing to keep up appearances as if that person is alive.
No, that's true. Because if I was first looking, if I was looking like me at the beginning, and then I killed you,
right.
There's a chance that within like a 2 or 3 minute window, Chris saw me walking around.
Yeah.
Then I killed you, and then I was like, "Oh, hi,
back
it's just
to you.
me. It's just me,
Nick Brecken.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. I wonder what you'd have to. I mean, I think that the thing that must be so difficult about balancing these games is that any one of the sort of non-enemy characters has to be much less powerful than the enemy because there's a bunch of them. But collectively, all of them together statistically have to hopefully have like roughly the same chance of success.
One thing you can do with the
aggregate.
thing is sort of like limit the resources, right? Like in the thing, you kill the thing by like using a flamethrower, but if you can only use that on like 2 or 3 people and only have enough gas to do that,
right?
You can't just torch the entire group of people, right?
But you
like
could trap.
Like
Can you do the weird blood test? That seems like a pain in the ass in a multiplayer game.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you were the thing and you had all those people there all lined up, you'd be just like, blah, fuck you, thing. And like when they're trying to do the blood test.
Yeah, I don't know if you can do the blood test.
I don't think you could do the blood test.
Yeah, that'd be tough to figure out. Yeah.
Huh. I love the idea. I love the idea of a thing multiplayer game. Though.
That would also be a really fun game to be able to end with a sort of beefed up version of the Overwatch play of the day thing. To be able to be like,
oh yeah,
we've gotten to the end of it, and probably most players won't know how all the bodies dropped and how everyone was fooled.
Right,
so to be able to scrub through a demo of like,
the kills.
First I got attacked in the prologue, then I killed Nick, then I disguised myself as Nick to fool you, then I disguised myself as myself again to fool someone else. Like to be able to watch people figure it out in replay would actually be really fun. Again, you couldn't do it live because of cheating.
Right. Every round ends once there are 2 people left, and then it just sort of waits for a few minutes, and then the round just ends and never declares who's the thing.
That'd be really good.
But much like the thing,
and it's like really like
but they share a cigarette.
Much like the movie The Thing itself, if you really go through frame by frame, you could eventually figure it out, and then eventually get them to conclude to agree with you.
Right.
They figured it. People have obsessively dorked out over the thing.
Oh, I'm sure
they figured
have.
it out. I can't remember who it is.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's an alien from outer space.
Oh, that's who the thing is.
Yeah. It comes in that spaceship at the beginning.
No, it doesn't.
Really? I thought the thing starts with a spaceship.
I thought it just started with that dog.
It
starts with a spaceship and then a dog.
I rewatched Predator.
It doesn't start with a spaceship. Chronologically, in the film it doesn't, but that's how the thing came to Earth.
Oh, I thought it started with a spaceship.
No, you're right. Sorry, there's a shot of Earth with a ship going down.
Yeah,
like
the
Predator,
reason I say
right?
that is because I had forgotten that's how Predator started. We would watch Predator a week ago, and it also starts with a spaceship coming to Earth. It's weird that was just a device used for
classic
these,
genre. What if a spaceship came to Earth?
Alien.
What if a bad alien came to Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Man, Predator is a pretty good movie to watch.
What if there was a game where you were the predator or the alien? Or a guy.
I think this is probably about wrapped for this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah. You can send us questions of your own to questions@idlethumbs.net, and especially if you have an idea, like a real idea, for how to get around all these like problems with multiplayer streaming, cheating stuff, there's probably no answer. But if you somehow know of one, please let me know, because I really want to know. Questions@idlethumbs.net.
You could probably, maybe if you just do it with a 10-minute delay for something like PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds.
That's a good idea. And
also that way, if someone swears, you don't have to
You should write that into questions@idlethumbs.net.
And then someone will tell me why it's wrong.
Yeah.
Why it's impossible.
Yeah. That's a good idea, though. I like that. Anyway, our website is idlethumbspodcast.com, and from there you can find all the places we reside on the internet. If you like this podcast, tell a friend. Consider rating us or reviewing us on iTunes. Word of mouth is really the only way this podcast ever has grown. Thank you if you ever have spread the word. Appreciate it.
Nick, what's wrong with the 10-minute delay?
Yeah,
because you could still just watch the individual Twitch streams, right? And as the spectator, right? I guess that's...
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, no, duh. You could literally just be streaming it with your iPhone.
If you locked in your bet and there was a 10-minute delay, the 10-minute delay wouldn't help the people playing. And as long as your bet is locked in, watching a stream wouldn't help you. So that would work, I think.
If you just have to bet in advance?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just whatever. You could just point your phone at the screen.
I mostly just want the part where I'm with a bunch of well-dressed avatars watching it from a sort of air traffic control dome in the middle of the map. That's if we can get that happening, then I'm fine.
Yeah.
So make that happen, please, player unknown.
Make that happen. Thanks for joining us on Idle Thumbs. We will be back next month, and before then with an Idle Thumbs Ruination Online from our Patreon campaign.
What's up, Nick?
Nick has determined something else.
What if the matches that were used for the betting for the observers, what if they, one, were only archives that could be used, and two, that the names were changed of the players or completely just anonymous, then you wouldn't know what to bet.
That's boring.
You wouldn't know what to bet.
You want the live spectacle.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
I guess we'll have to abolish
Right
gambling.
Yeah.
All right, bye.
Yeah.
Talk to you next time. When was the last time we've done this?
Tinny. It sounds tinny.
Sounds tinny or muffled. Those are not.
It's capturing the webcam audio again, I bet, says Schwally.
That would be very unlikely. But I'll check.
It's possible.
It's possible, however unlikely.
Audio input, none.
Grand Moff Tarkin? Or no, not Grand Moff Tarkin.
Jesus Christ. I was like, what is that from?
Oh,
okay.
I don't know if it was.
Oh, sure. I don't know. The guy, is it Grand Moff Tarkin,
well,
perhaps?
No, it might not have been. I think it might have been one of the guy who's like a rabble rouser who's Vader.
Yeah, it is the guy who looks like he's from like EastEnders or something. It's that guy.
Yeah.
It's just like a big forehead, and he's like, however unlikely. That guy, yeah.
They might find a weakness and exploit it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Hopefully we sound really terrible.
No.
And we're talking about Star Wars.
Hey,
how do we sound in these microphones?
Oh, I bet it's better.
Grand Moff Tarkin.
We'll find out.
It's a trap.